Welcome to CoinBook. My name is Calvin Waite, and I trade Bitcoin and cryptocurrency for a living. My goal is to help you guys to become better traders and to help you see opportunities within the crypto markets. So please subscribe. I would love for you to be a part of the community that we are building. Well, we have not hit our $14,000 target like I had expected, but looking at the weekly chart, things still look a little bit young. These nice long candles, there are still plenty of opportunity. There is an argument to be made. If we look at this weekly high right here at 11,800, there is an argument that this may have been the level that we were interested in breaking in the first place. Look at this. See how we have these tops right here? 1, 2, 3, 4 tops. And then we had wick through, wick through, wick through, wick through, but no bodies closing above this top. Put it right here. And so when we get over to here and we have this top here, the bodies of these candles, even the wicks, they may be reminiscent of these levels here. So kind of interesting. The fact that we are this high as a candle body is extremely bullish. This is, if we have a weekly close, so we still have 2 days and 5 hours, but if we have a weekly close where our candle body is up here, we really are, and this is just an extremely bullish situation. This is this 12,000 area though, and I've been saying 12.5, but 12.5 to 12 is where we will, it would be very healthy for us to retrace and touch this. But what we need is, we need a move over the next few weeks to get us to 14,000, and then slowly over the course of a couple of weeks come back and at least briefly touch this area. So this is something we're going to be watching very closely. I wanted to go back to daily and point out how close we are to recrossing here. Once this recrosses, we'll be back into a green zone, and we want green zones. This is exactly what fed our entire bull run in 2017. This green, yellow, white, green, yellow, white, and then we just had green, yellow, green, yellow, green, yellow all the way up. And so right now we're doing green, yellow, white. We had a green, white, which is because we dipped below our 100. But if we get back into a solid green zone again, we're heading towards the moon, my friends. So a non-Newtonian fluid is a fluid that responds to pressure. It either gets thicker or more runny. And so the analogy with Bitcoin is that, or in trading, is that we can't force a trade. You have to watch the chart and let the chart do whatever it needs to do. You can see where the pressure is, you can see where the excitement is, and you just have to move with it and be fluid. If you force it, you're gonna lose. Just a quick follow-up on yesterday's video. So when I finished my video on waves sometime yesterday, I was saying that it looked pretty awesome, how we'd found support on the 50-day. And look at that, today we've had we're up 7.5% today, and we have flipped to a green zone because our 50-day has now ticked upwards. So the slope of our 50-day moving average is positive. So we get all three of our trends moving in a positive direction, and our close or our candle body is above the 50. This is green zone land. So to start a green zone right here gives waves a little bit of legs. So quick follow up there. The coin I wanted to take a look at is Litecoin. Litecoin is a coin that I've been wanting to do a video on for quite a while. Last time I mentioned Litecoin, it was when we had exited these red zones here. And we had found some support on the 100 and the 50, found it again, but then just had a rough day, popped through, and then we've found resistance ever since. And so because we hit this yellow zone, it pulled all of our trends down. So now we've got decreasing trends, and we've got close below 50, then 100, then 200. So things have looked a little rough for about a month, but I've still been watching it. Well, look at this most recent activity. I don't know if you know what candle formation this green bar next to this red bar is, but this is called a bullish engulfing candle. And this only really matters at the end of a very significant decline. So last week, we were having these major sell-offs where the alts were just getting absolutely killed. And we've had these sell-offs. And one of the things I mentioned on this day was that a lot of coins, just a market, just a behavior in the market, is that if you have a nice long sell-off and things are slowly bleeding off, sometimes it takes the one day to really spike down hard to establish a bottom. And there's a lot of science behind this. There are indicators that look for spikes down, and they are, it's this oversold concept. And so there will be indicators like stochastic RSI or just the RSI itself on longer term trends that make more sense. But there are indicators that look for this type of a fall. I only care about stuff like this more from a structure standpoint. I like to look at things from more of an emotion standpoint. The indicators can kind of help, but they don't help every time. And so you kind of have to look at the emotion as it happens. Let me just show you an example. So a few days ago, I had a son that got sick, and the funny thing is he had it was just like a one day thing. It was nothing major, but my wife, he'd thrown up, and my wife was like, "Oh, do you think he's over it or anything?" And I looked at her and I said, "You know what? They usually throw up 3 times before it's out of their system." And I was right, and he ended up doing 4. But then after that, he was fine. He was able to go to bed and woke up. It was just fine in the morning. And so what's interesting is that you usually get these patterns of 3 or 4, and it's kind of like, here we exited this red zone here, and we got all excited, and we kind of hit our peak, and then we have these phases where it's almost like the market is sort of throwing up. It ate too much junk food, it got too excited, too much sugar in the system, and we finally had a drop here. And so we have these little phases where we have this sort of a throw up here, and then we're kind of like, oh, we're all better, but we have a lower high. And then you have this situation where, we're kind of going sideways. We think everything's fine. We're sort of consolidating. And then we have a throw up here, and then another one here. and it's kind of like we have to kind of get it out of the system. We have to have these quick moves down to sort of sell investors on, okay, we are finally there. Like, nobody else is selling. All of the selling is getting out of our system. We're like hemorrhaging selling. People that are uncomfortable, all those negative emotions, we've got to kind of vomit all of that out. And then you finally have a long kind of a violent last one. And then this sort of establishes our bottom. We're like, okay. And then everyone that's left that isn't all tied in and isn't all emotional, they have a chance to kind of do a recovery where we have a consolidation where people are kind of looking around and it's like, oh, are you selling? No. Are you selling? No. And then we pop out of these red zones, and then we start getting a little bit more strength. So here, when I did this video recently, it was on the fact that we had exited one of these red zones, which usually is a great long-term entry. We just couldn't quite get it out of the system. But what makes me excited about Litecoin, and this is where this is going to be another awesome entry. But if I go back out to even a monthly chart, I'll go monthly. you can see that we are in the bottom section of the entire range for the history of Litecoin. And I mean, we have Litecoin's old, it's 2014, and our bottom at 2014, 15 was 0.0035 Bitcoin. Then we had this wild excitement, and then we just kind of had these really painful long things. This one ended up at 0.003, and then we didn't touch that since 2017. I mean, our worst was 0.005, and again 0.007. So we've had this kind of history where it likes to get down. See, it makes me less afraid, and all other investors, less afraid to pick up Litecoin when we're below 0.005. Like if you put this right here, this is our line. Anytime you bought below 0.005, as long as you were patient, it always paid off. Right now, we're in this sort of a kind of a rough patch, but Litecoin is resilient. You just can't write off this because so many people know about the coin. I guarantee when this starts hitting news, like we've started establishing a higher high, if we went over 0.0056 right here, this tip, if we got above this, it would be all over the news. Everyone with any liquidity at all would be pumping it into Litecoin. So the question is not whether to buy Litecoin, it's when. And we are now on the other side of the 50-day moving average, but we have now touched it for 2 days in a row. Every time you touch a resistance level, it weakens it. So it's only a matter of time that we finally close above the 50. And since this was not too far away from this, there's no fear left. Like nobody's worried about losing their shirt in Litecoin. So buying here and ending up here, nobody's panicked over a 0.0047 down to a 0.0043. Like there's no emotion here. People are simply sitting and waiting. And when the technicals get a little bit better, it's only a matter of time when we see a good rise. So I am very bullish on Litecoin. Obviously this is not a financial advice channel. This is just my opinion on these charts. But my opinion is that do not buy Litecoin until we close above the 50. I don't know what other emotions there will be. I can't imagine that it'll be super violent, but just wait patiently until we find a close above the 50, and it'll just be, it's just a matter of patience because this is going to be a profitable trade, in my opinion.
All right, you guys, we are almost to 1,000 subscribers, and when we get monetized, I'm going to be giving away these enviable Coinbook t-shirts, the apex of crypto fashion. So if you could comment your ideas on how I should distribute these. I'm not sure if I should give out one per day or one to the best comment or one per week. So give me your ideas, but I want to build this brand and expand our community.